And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Gerv and Big Mo. I'm here, Rickey Hampton, here with former NBA players Paul Mokeski and Derrick Gervin. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by a special guest, a sharpshooter, an NBA great, Big Mo's old teammate, Mr. Ricky Pierce. Ricky, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Oh, thank you, sir, for having me.
And all our viewers out there, please send us your texts and comments. We're going live on Facebook and we're on our Gerv and Big Mo Facebook page. We want to make sure to hear from you guys tonight. So D and Gerv, how you guys doing tonight, man?
Good, Ricky. Or let them know about we want YouTube. We're also on YouTube. We want subscribers for this new year, starting off 2021.
Absolutely, absolutely. And give us your comments over there, and any questions you might have for Rick, we'll make sure we get them to him.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, Paul. I got the red and green working. I don't have the tree, but I got the red and green.
I got presents for all of you. You just have to come to Vegas to get them.
Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's a present in itself. Hey, Rick, I want to start this off, Rick. I was just looking back over your career. Brother, you could put the ball in the hole 53%, 53%, 52%. What was that something that was just you were born with, or just your ability to put the ball in the hole?
Well, you know, it took a lot of work. I would love to say I was born with it, but as Mo and Derrick know, you have to practice your craft. I mean, that was my strength, shooting and scoring the ball, but it took a lot of work.
Hey, Rick, I want to thank you again for coming on, man. It's been a long time. Hey, Ricky, tell us a little bit, even before we get into NBA. I know you went to Walla Walla, I believe, community college. And then can you tell us a little bit about your history, how you went from Walla Walla, end up at community college, and then, of course, till you became a legend at Rice University. Could you tell us a little bit about your path?
Well, my intention was to transfer from Walla Walla and go to Washington State and play for George Raveling. But when I got there to Walla Walla, the weather was freezing cold, snow was everywhere. Then we went down and played Washington State junior varsity, JV, and it was freezing. I'm from Texas. I say, no way, I'm out. But I had a great time in Walla Walla. I mean, it was competitive play, met a lot of interesting people, had a great time.
I'll tell you what, Ricky, I was recruited by a lot of people, and George Raveling was at Washington State. He was recruiting me hard, and he's one of the best recruiters I ever, man, he could make you cry in a letter.
That's right. That's right.
When I called him to tell him I was going to Kansas, I was like, first of all, I was almost crying. Second of all, I almost changed my mind.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Hey, Rick, before we can start to get to Ricky, I want to let everybody know, because I'm promoting this gentleman. I was a big fan in college, and I'm telling you, Ricky's only 2 years older than I am. But me being down here in Texas all these years, I started keeping up with basketball in Texas. And I'm a big fan in college. I'm saying this from the heart, and I mean that Pierce was one of my favorite players of all time at the University of Rice and in college basketball, Rice University, and in college basketball. So for me, having him on here is a big, big honor. It's not just about the NBA, it's about the path. And that's why I'm glad Ricky's on here, so some of the kids can understand. Ricky went to a community college. That was the beginning of his college career. And he was patient. He ended up going to Rice University and putting his mark on the school. And then the rest is history. Then the NBA happened. But I don't think it's something that he planned. I believe it's something, he worked. And then you let the chips fall where they may. What do you think about that, Ricky?
You're absolutely right. It don't matter where you start, it's where you finish. You know, and I just kept working at it. Met a lot of great people in Houston, especially at Rice University. great people there, had a great time. And of course, we was in that Southwest Conference, and it was a very strong conference at that time.
Hey, Rick, what? When you ended up going to a JUCO, were you not highly recruited coming out of high school? And when did you feel your game developing to the point I might be able to do this to make a living?
Well, I was recruited, but it was something came down with my grade point average. I was told I had a 2.5, and then I was told when it was time to go sign that I had a 1.9.
Did he freeze up, Ricky?
We must have lost Ricky.
So I could have went anywhere.
Okay. Rick, can you add the last part of that because we lost you for a second?
Yeah, what you say? What was the last part you didn't get?
You were just talking about your grades and then making that move.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying that I was told that I had a 2.5, and then when I didn't go to a certain school, it came back, okay, that I have a 1.9. And so that's how I ended up in that JUCO.
Well, that's a lesson for a lot of young players, like you said, D, out there, that everyone's path in basketball is different, and everyone takes different routes. But like Ricky, you said, and D, you've said before, it's to take ownership of your route, work your butt off, and your dreams can come true if you're good enough.
And that's the key to it, Mo. You just have to stay on your grind, stay positive, and first of all, keep God first, and it'll happen. If it's meant for you, you can get it.
Yep, agreed.
And that's the approach that I took to it.
I'm sorry, Ricky, this is for you and for Paul. Do you think, because I know today the game has changed, and as you guys know, man, they start recruiting kids so young now, man, and it kind of breaks my heart because a lot of times the kids lose focus on, just taking it day by day. Do you think it's good for the young people now to be even thinking about NBA at 14 or 15 years old? Because we know how hard it is. It hasn't even been 5,000 players to play in the NBA. And I tell the kids all the time to just take it day by day. Try to become a better player day by day. You could be so-called, as they call, elite, but you always got to keep working, because if you don't keep working, you're going to get passed up by someone else. Tell me if I'm wrong about that.
You want to go first, Mo?
Yeah, like I always say, to young players, be the best high school player you can be, then be the best college player you can be, then you make the next step. It's when you start looking past those steps, you just cheat yourself and you cheat the game, and you won't get there. Too many young players think ahead. You've seen it. They're eighth graders in these AAU tournaments, with the headphones on and all their stuff, and they think they're in the NBA. You got to take it little by little and get better every day to really reach your goal realistically.
I'm in agreement with you, Mo. I mean, when I was young, even fifth grade, I thought about the NBA. I wanted to be an NBA player, but I know that is steps that you need to take. Now, you get to high school, college, and those young kids that's coming out of high school, they're not realizing they have George Gervin up there. They have Julius Erving, Charlie Scott. You have some great players already there, and they young in the league, right? They're in their prime. When you go in at 18, you're not going to outplay those guys. So, it's either for those guys to lose their confidence trying to come in too early. But I think with their egos, maybe, they think they can just hop right to the next level and take over. But it's not that way, is it, Big Mo?
It's scary too, Rick, because, when we played, you went 4 years in college or junior college to college. Now guys are coming out. 12 of the top 30 picks in this year's NBA draft are 19 years old. one of the top 5 picks in the draft, didn't even start for his college team. So it's such a different animal now. And I think players get caught up in all that, and it traps them into thinking that they haven't made. And, it can be a big pothole for some guys in their careers if they don't have their heads on straight.
That's right. They'll get that first, 3-year guaranteed money. And if they sitting on that bench, they can really hurt themselves. Do they get the next 3 years?
Yeah, for sure.
Let me get everybody caught up. You're watching Gerv and Big Mo with former NBA players Derrick, Gervin, and Paul Mokeski. I'm Rickey Hampton. We're joined by former NBA All-Star Ricky Pierce. Ricky, they're already checking in. Rick Schultz, he says, Ricky Pierce, cold-blooded shooter. Adam Ryan's checking in saying hello from Australia. Miss Johnson, Ricky Pierce, serious shooter. Kayvon checks in to say hello, Big Mo. And somebody was just saying how he used to kill the Philadelphia 76ers.
Hey, Ricky, killed him with silence. Now, I want to say this. The one thing about Ricky Pierce is I was at a high school game today. And these young kids, man, and, they get to talking out there on the floor. And I'm like, you guys just play the game. And Ricky was a guy that kind of reminded me of Kawhi as far as he's a quiet guy on the court, but he was an assassin. And I looked at Ricky and I watched the progression. And I got to go to how you started as the 18th pick, because I want to know a little bit about your first year, because I'm shaking my head, me being a Detroiter. And tell me about your first year, man, with the Pistons, so I can figure out today and I can call some people, and I want to know how they traded you in the first place.
D, for me, it was frustrating as a rookie. We expound on it earlier about how tough it can be. I played small forward at Rice. Then I had to make a transition to shooting guard. I had to learn a whole new position. So, and that in itself was tough. And trying to learn and sitting on that bench at the same time was frustrating for me. I mean, that was not a fun year for me. So I knew I had to improve my game. So what I did, I just left it there, got in my car after the season, went home and worked on my game. I mean, it can be very frustrating. I mean, I knew I had work to do.
Some people don't know that about San Diego. The Clippers were at San Diego at that time. How did you end up? Did San Diego? When did you know that you were going to become a San Diego Clipper?
Well, I sort of figured I was going to get traded, because that first year was rough. Benny Johnson and I was good friends, and we hung out a lot together. And so I would confide in him a little bit. He would confide in me, and he would tell me, sometime before I got traded, we talked about being traded. And he was telling me that sometime being traded is a good thing. You get a fresh start, and so I just took it like that, took it on the chin and say, well, hey, I need a fresh start. And the Clippers gave me that.
Wow. Yeah, people don't realize in the NBA, it happens all the time. And I learned that early also. I was traded my second year from Houston to Detroit. And I went from a veteran team with Rudy Tomjanovich and Moses Malone and Calvin Murphy, and was traded to Detroit to a very young team. Isaiah was a rookie. Kelly Tripucka was a rookie. And we were bad. We were terrible. But I got to start and play a lot. And then that's where the rest of the league saw that I belonged. And actually, I felt I belonged. So a lot of time, it's not when you go, it's where you go and the situation you're put in. Then take the best advantage you can. That's how it works there.
And Ricky, you really took off when you got to Milwaukee, really some of the prime years of your career. And those were really good teams that you guys had up there. And I want to go to Mo. When you were on the floor with Rick, what did you look for? I mean, because the thing about that team, you guys really played well together.
Here, listen. when Rickey joined us, you know, it didn't take very long to see, like you said, he could put the ball in the basket. And people know he's number 22. So when Rickey came in the game, the theme of the whole team was give the ball to Deuces and he can score. That's what it was. Give it to Deuces and he can score. And also, you know, I've done post-up videos and stuff like that. Rickey was a great post player. We used to throw it to him down in the post against those little guards, and we called it the torture chamber. Go to work, Rickey, and he would, and just light teams up. So it was a great fit. I'd been in Milwaukee for 2 or 3 years, and the team was getting older. And I remember the day Rickey was traded to us because we were getting our physicals for training camp. It was a late trade, and it was a big trade. It was Marcus Johnson, Brian Winters, Harvey Catchings, Marcus Johnson for Rickey, Terry Cummings, Craig Hodges. And we knew right away after the first week of practice that we just got a jolt of energy to our team. And they took us up to the next level. Craig could shoot the crap out of the ball. Terry Cummings was a younger Marcus Johnson, and Rickey could just put it in the hole.
Paul, did you guys accept Rickey right away? Because you and I and Rickey, we all talk about Rickey Hampton. We all talk about behavior on here all the time and what it takes in the game. And I'm looking at the James Harden situation today, and you know, some of these guys that have been moved around like DeMarcus Cousins, and you know, sometimes it hurts your stock. Was it easier for you guys to integrate and to accept Rickey because of the way that he carried himself throughout his career? Did that help at all?
Yeah, for sure. Rickey and those guys were pros. And, you know, I learned from, you know, Moses Malone early in my career. Then I learned from Sidney Moncrief, who was one of the ultimate pros. And he was the one that welcomed me into the team of the Bucks. And he was key to welcoming all this other group in. But, you know, we just fit and meshed. And I'm not like making, you know, talking all roses and everything, but my years in Milwaukee and the teams we had, they were a good group of guys, all of them, all Sigmas and Kristoviaks and Rickeys and Terrys, and all these guys were good guys. They were just good guys and fun to play with.
That's what made the team so great. I mean, everyone got along well. The wives got along well. I mean, we didn't have a lot of outside distractions. I mean, it was just more of a family atmosphere in Milwaukee. And of course, we were competitive. We had smart players, good people.
Yeah, and like we've talked a lot, Rickey, here on this show with the different people. And people say, well, players don't know their roles. They have to know their roles. And I say that's not right. Most players know their roles. They just don't accept them. And on our team, we accepted our roles. I mean, I set picks and rebound. I give the ball to you and Terry and Sid. That's okay, you know, and that's how we win.
Well, you remember you played outside at that 3-point line. You knocked those threes down, and I sort of liked that when you was outside because you know it would open it up for me inside, and Mo would pull out the big guys, so I could take advantage of the smaller guys.
Man, that was fun, man.
Rick, defensively, when you were in Milwaukee, who was your toughest competitor when you were playing on the team with Paul during those few years, you guys were together? Who would you say that you knew you had to be on your game the night before?
The toughest defender that guard me or I guard
the toughest that you knew you had to go against? Because I don't think there was anybody could guard you. Who did you have to prepare yourself for to be on your game defensively?
I tell the story all the time. Everybody was tough that I had to guard. You know, I wasn't known for my defense, but, you know, all the guys was tough. But I look in my earlier days, I look more at like George Gervin. I mean, I'm not saying that because you and George, but George, I remember one story. I was with the Clippers, and George just going crazy on offense. And Norm Nixon gonna come tell me, hey man, Mo, you can tell me this. Play George this way, play George that way. And so he kept lighting me up, and I told Norm, I said, I'll tell you what, you guard it. He kept telling me how to guard him. I said, you guard him.
You can show me.
You know, yeah, you guard him, man. But I would say George Gervin was the toughest guy for me. I mean, the guy was just a bad boy.
But he didn't talk, did he, Ricky? Because me knowing him, a lot of people, they called him ice and all that. But I didn't know him to be a trash talker. You could prove me different. Was he the kind of guy that he didn't talk a lot of trash, did he?
Well, he's nice to you. Okay, young fella, take this here. You know, you gonna be all right, young fella. You know, I mean, that's the type of trash he would talk. It was that type of trash, you know. But
hey, well, Rick, at least you run along because he lit a lot of folks up over his years in the NBA.
That's right.
That's for sure. We got a couple more questions and comments from our viewers. Kayvon asked Ricky, what was it like playing in San Diego for that one season? And Ricky was the only NBA player to win the six-man award twice with the same team. Check that out. You might be the only guy to do that, right?
Well, I don't know that, but I know in San Diego it was frustrating. Our goal was to try and win 25 games. I don't think we won 25 games, but I did learn a lot. And I was fortunate enough to be playing with a guy, which is a legend, Bill Walton. He taught me a lot. One thing he told me was, hey, Ricky, you playing everybody the same way. You have to learn their tendencies. That's what he told me. And I'm young and still trying to learn how to play the game. So I go back to my apartment and I'm saying to myself, it's a lot of players out there to try to learn tendencies. So, but I understood what he was saying. If you want to stay in this league, you better get smart.
Well, that's great. Hey, I got another great question here from John Washington. This is for Big Mo and Rick. How frustrating was it for you guys to never get that piece to put you guys over the hump with the 76ers and Celtics? Those were some damn good Buck squads, and I enjoyed the battle. And Ricky, you and Andrew Toney had games similar to me. That's from John Washington. Thanks for your question, John.
Well, people don't know this, but the Milwaukee Bucks were the most winning team in the 80s. We won more than Boston. We won more than Philly. And we won more games than any of those teams. But it seemed we couldn't get over the hump. When we would beat Philly, we would lose to Boston. When we would beat Boston, we would lose to Philly. And it was very, very frustrating, to not get to that next level because I knew we were good enough. And I don't think it was we were missing a piece. I think we were just unlucky enough to come up against, great teams. I mean, people don't realize how good of forwards Terry Cummings and Marcus Johnson were. And they played in the 80s on the Bucks. And the reason why was because they were playing against Dominique Wilkins and Larry Bird. So they got overshadowed. And I think that happened a lot with us in Milwaukee.
And those teams were great teams also. I mean, they weren't no slouch. We had an outstanding team. I think they were just a little bit better. I mean, all around, they had some great players on that team. And we beat Philly. Mo, you remember Julius last year, I think he retired that year, and we knocked him out. And we had been going at him for the longest. Yeah. And I remember Andrew Toney gonna tell me that back off of him. My ankles is bad. His ankles were sore at that time, right? And I'm like, no way. I'm gonna stay on you as tight as I can. Because Andrew had so much respect throughout the league, especially from guards. I mean, they knew how dangerous he was. It was great times. I'm telling you, competitive.
I mean,
Ricky, let me say this quickly, because people don't give a lot of players, today, especially even today, all you hear them talk about is guys didn't win a ring. And I want people to understand that if you have your career is not based on you really winning a ring. That is the goal. That is the purpose. That's why everyone wants to win a ring. But that does not define your career. And I look at Milwaukee's situation, these guys, what they just talked about Philadelphia, it reminds me of when George was playing. The Spurs had a championship team. I really believe that today. But they ran into this guy named Magic Johnson, Kareem Jabbar, James Worthy, etc. And what people need to understand that because you did not win a ring, like that still does not take away from the type of career that you had. And I look at Paul as a 12-year veteran and Rickey as a 16-year veteran. When I look at these guys, to me, they're champions. So a ring is what at the end, you want to win the ring, but that does not necessarily define your career. You go out and be the best player you can be, and then that is what you're there for. And then you let the chips fall where they may.
That's right. I mean, I had a great time. I reached my goals. You know, I got to the NBA. I played 16 years. I had a ball. It was unfortunate. I wanted to win a ring. That would have topped it off. But no, it don't define your career. I mean, there's a lot of players that didn't win championships.
Yeah, the year we beat Philly, and then we took Boston to Game 7 in the Garden, and we lost that game because of Larry Bird. And our next step, if we would have won that game, we were going to play the Lakers, and we had beat them twice that year. So that was our chance at a championship, and it went so fast. And then we had to start all over the next year. So I don't think a lot of fans and people out there know how difficult it is to get to the finals and then win them. It's very, very difficult, and it could be a bounce one way, a call one way, an injury one way, and that window closes fast. And you know, unfortunately, we didn't get to the NBA finals, but we had some great runs.
I tell you guys, Derrick, Rick, and Paul, it was the era you guys were in the league is certainly my favorite time. I enjoyed the physical play that took place then. And Rick, I was looking at you. You hardly ever shot 3-pointers, but you still could go average 25, 27 a game. I mean, talk to us about the way you approached the game offensively back then and why the 3-point line was not a big deal to you.
Well, I didn't put a lot of emphasis in just shooting threes. I mean, I could get a higher percentage shot. I could get 1 or 2 dribbles. I'm in my shooting range that I'm very comfortable with. And so I just sort of played the game to my advantages. 3-point shooting was not really in my game. I didn't want to be known as just a 3-point shooter. You know, you have some guys, they really just stay out at the 3 and want to shoot threes. I mean, I could get to the basket off the dribble, and, you know, I did a lot of cutting to the basket. That was more my game.
But you can get to your spots.
And that's about accepting roles also. We had Craig Hodges on the team who was a 3-point sniper. So, you know, we let him do that. Rickey did his thing. And, you know, and quite frankly, the 3-point line wasn't what it is now back then. I mean, even the best shooters didn't shoot that much. I mean, NBA teams are shooting 50 threes a game now. I mean, back then, 10 or 12 threes in a game was a lot.
Hey, Paul, I got to say this while you guys on here, because that bothers me. You know, the 3-point line I can live with. But when I listen to Rickey talk about his 1 or 2 dribbles, your 1 or 2 dribble pull-ups, just getting by the defender so you can create. If you don't score, you find others. Today, it seems like these guys are not understanding it. And LeBron is out thinking a lot of these guys, well, all of these guys. They shoot all these threes in the regular season. And then if you watch the games, the playoff time, it becomes more of a half-court game, and those shots aren't there anymore. So all the young people out there, you got to understand, take the best shot. I know you're in the analytics age, but Rickey talked about brains earlier. If you're not a 3-point shooter, don't make that your shot. Wait until you just try to get your confidence. And the reason I'm a big Ricky Pierce fan is Rickey was never in a hurry. 2 of the hardest guys I had to guard were Larry Bird and Rickey Pierce. And neither one of those guys were in a hurry. They looked over the floor, they took their time, and they got to their spots. And that's what the young people today have got to understand. Don't go 3-point crazy. Go basketball crazy.
That's right. You have to play the game. And, you know, I've watched some of the NBA games, and I see everybody, they just living at the 3-point line. You know, those high percentage shots. What? You're not going to make all of those shots. I mean, it's okay to take a three, but I think a lot of the coaches now is putting emphasis in shoot a lot of threes. You know, I watch Houston a lot, and that's all they do is put up threes.
I mean,
don't the winning teams, Paul and Ricky, don't the winning teams shoot the mid-range, the layup, the mid-range, and the three? The Lakers, the team that usually win,
right.
they shoot the three, the inside, the mid-range.
yeah, I mean, you know, look, think of like our Milwaukee Buck fellow, Giannis. You know, he can get to the rim and finish with the best of them. But if I had any say and could talk to him this past year, this summer, I would have said, listen, you need to learn from Ricky Pierce or someone like that, a mid-range game. Because now in the playoffs, you saw it. When he went all the way to the basket and he couldn't get there because defenses are better, then he would do a spin move and either be out of control or charge or sometimes make it. If he would have a pull-up move, he would be MVP plus, I guess. But, you know, guys like that, it's important to improve. The best players, Michael Jordan, Magic, all those guys got better at the stuff they weren't good at to make them the greatest players.
That's right. I'm in agreement with you. I mean, Giannis, you need to have two dribble, stay under control, especially in the playoffs. Like Mo was saying, when you spin, that defender's right there waiting on you.
What do you guys think today? They teach when you come off the pick and roll, if your guard goes underneath you or comes over the top and you can beat them, they get in the paint, but they shoot the floaters. And what is Ricky? I look at your game. You was a jump shooter. Is the jump shot one step inside the free throw line dead?
Well, you know, I like to keep my balance on my shot. I mean, I wasn't never a floater type guy. I mean, that's just not in my game. I mean, I did better when I was under control and gather myself.
I agree. I mean, and also it's sad, but I think it's true. So the running hook was no longer done, and it was a jump hook, and now the jump hook is gone to a floater. So now even the pull-up shot is turning into a floater. I think they should go backwards, rewind a little bit. Big guys should learn how to do a jump hook, and wings and guards should learn how to shoot pull-up jump shots.
Let me go back to our viewers here. Gosh, I can't pronounce this name, but they say Ricky is by far the most accomplished athlete coming out of Rice University. How about that, Rick?
Hey.
So we got some Rice Owls out here. Ricky could put up 30 easily in this era. I wish these younger guys, John Washington says, I wish these younger guys would reach out to guards like Ricky to learn that mid-range game. Adam Ryan, nothing beats watching it and listening to former pro players talk basketball. Got a lot of knowledge on this show, Adam. You're absolutely right. And Mike Casey, Mike checks in to say all good out here and Merry Christmas. And John says, Ben Simmons can use your help, Ricky.
I mean, I want to say, like, there's so many trainers out there, and players and NBA players have their guys and their trainers. I mean, it used to be if you wanted to learn how to play the post, you went to learn from Kareem or Moses or someone like that, and Akeem Olajuwon. A lot of people went to Akeem to learn how to play the post. And, you know, players went to other pro players, former players, to learn how to play the guard position, point guard position. Now they go to trainers, and a lot of those trainers really aren't helping them and not telling them what they need to learn. It would be nice, like the listener said, if they would go back and I know Rickey would be open to it, and so would I, helping train some people.
And me, Paul, because they making them players one dimension. They making them one-dimensional now. Just pull up threes. What do you do when we take away the threes? Now you're hurting your team, and you're going to be on the bench.
How do you think the game?
Right. So practice.
Like Rickey thinks it, yeah.
And Derrick, you played the 2 and 3. You never pushed yourself out to the line very often either.
I didn't. Hey, Rickey, I could shoot the 3, but, me coming in, I wasn't like a go-to guy right away. I had to kind of work in my way in before they started. They didn't run plays for me at that time. So I had to get mine when I saw openings. And a lot of people, I scored 20 several games in my time before I got hurt. But I had to seize the moment, but I wasn't worried about the 3. I was worried about taking the best shot because, I grew up around my brother whooping my butt every day. And he's, George is 11 years older than me. So I grew up playing him one-on-one. So 3 wasn't even thought of back then. All we thought of was getting away from your defender, creating space and taking the best shot. Now, if that ended up being a 3, then so be it. But if not, I'm not letting you tell me where to go on offense. I'm taking you where I want to go. And I'm trying to get the easier shot.
And that is the thing about your game, Rick. And Derrick said the patience you showed out there. You clearly you were in no hurry, but of course you're playing at NBA speed, but it looked like you were in no hurry whatsoever to do what you needed to do.
Well, I have some players now that I train. I have about 10 players that I been training for 3, 4, 5 years. And that's what I teach those guys. Stay patient, stay balanced, and play smart. Don't rush yourself, because a lot of, like Big Mo was saying, you have these trainers out here that these guys go to that just rebound the ball. And they go on YouTube and find some drills and say, well, let's work on this. You see what I'm saying? And like Mo was saying, you put them in game situations. What are you going to do? And these guys never played the game. I mean, they probably played, but on a smaller level. You understand? I'll tell you this story here. I was watching a guy over at Rice. I was training some guys at Rice. And this guy that just got drafted, I won't call his name, but he had a young kid training him, a buddy of his, training him how to go play in the pros. And I talked to his dad, and I said, well, this, he need to work on a certain thing. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it.
It's like you old school. Hey, Rick, before we move on, let me say something real quick to all the fans out there. Over the break, I want y'all to do this for me. Go to ACCU, AccuShot 22. AccuShot22.com, and check out Rickey's page. Check it out for us. I think it's something that you'll like. He's got some good stuff going on. So once again, it's ACCU Shot, AccuShot22.com. And keep up with Rickey Pierce, and you can find out more about him. And to me, that was important for me to get that message out, because I appreciate him taking time out coming on the show today. And I wanted to make sure people understand how much he means to me. And that's something big. Check it out, AccuShot22.com, and I think you'll really enjoy it.
And Rickey, can you share some of that with us? It's a training tool, correct? Can you share some of that info with us?
Yeah, it's more of an all-purpose ball. You can play with it also. I mean, I would really like for them to go on the site to check it out, but it will maximize your shooting. It won't restrict you. I mean, it's out there for you. You just need to reach out and grab it. If you want to become a better shooter, go to that site, that AccuShot22.com, and you can see for yourself. I had a kid, he told me this right here. He said, I can already shoot the ball. And I told him, yes, you can already shoot. And he didn't say, well, will this ball make me a better shooter? He didn't say it like that. He said, will this ball make me gooder? That's what he said, make him gooder.
Right.
And then he went out and he averaged 5 more points. He played in the tournament and he came back and he told me, it made me gooder. That's what he said. And we laughed at it. It was so funny, but he really enjoyed the ball. And so I would really tell everyone, go to the site and check it out.
And I just put it down in the comment section, AccuTwenty2.com. Is that correct, Ricky?
AccuShot.
Yeah. AccuShot.
Right.
And as a 25-year coach,
yeah, we got AccuShot.
Coaches aren't looking for shooters. They're looking for makers. So you need to get yourself to learn how to make the shot like Ricky did, like D did. I don't need shooters. Everyone, when I'm coaching in the D League or whatever, hey, you looking for a shooter? Nope. I'm looking for a maker.
Here's a great question for you guys. Derrick and Ricky, why isn't the backdoor cutting important anymore? And Big Mo, why isn't bigs passing out to the elbow not taught since you have recent coaching in the college league, in the league? Did you understand?
I'll be the shortest. I'll take it first because I'm gonna be the shortest. I don't understand. Even when I go to the high school games, the middle school games, they don't cut. What I've noticed in the lower leagues is that they stand. They stand on the perimeter. And what I'm used to is you're supposed to go through the creases, through the seam, as they say. If people today they don't look to the weak side. And if those guys that stand on the weak side get involved, they need to start cutting. I can tell you, perfect guy, he's injured now, but Klay Thompson was a guy that moved without the ball. George Gervin was a guy that moved without the ball. Ricky Pierce moved without the ball. Steph Curry moved without the ball. You can choose to be a James Harden, where you stand at half court if you're not in the offense, or you can choose to be effective for your team and move without the ball. And that's what more people need to understand. The game has not changed that much.
I agree with you, D. Back cutting, curls. You look at the foreign players, they come into the league, which they deserve to be here. They're great players, especially that guy in Dallas. I love watching him. They play the game, Mo. They back cutting, they back picking and popping. They're making all the right plays. That's just smart basketball.
A great example, when I was with the Dallas Mavericks coaching for 5 years, and I've used this drill as a coach too, but Nelly used it. So, you guys have all probably did it where, okay, now we're going to play and you're limited to 2 dribbles. Okay, you can only have 2 dribbles. And then we're going to limit it to 1 dribble. We're going to scrimmage only 1 dribble. And then we would play a game where you can't dribble the ball. You can just pass and cut. And guess who the best player was doing that? Dirk Nowitzki. Because he knew how to pass and cut and pass and cut. All the other guys would pass and stand. So you're absolutely right. And as an 8-year D-League coach, it frustrated me to no means that a lot of point guards from high-level universities would come to us, and they would come down and run the offense, and they would pass it and stand. I'm like, you can't just pass it and stand. You got to move,
That's basketball. I mean, you pass, you cut, you set a pick, you back pick and pop. I mean, that's keeping everybody involved. That make the game fun. I mean, it's no fun watching one guy dribble for 15, 20 seconds and then try to create a shot. They don't have it. And they throw it out to you, Mo, at the 3, and you have to force up a last second shot out of rhythm. That's no fun.
That's why if Harden was on my team, I would say, hey, if I'm open, you better pass me the ball, man. Don't pass it to me with 2 seconds on the shot clock.
And we were having this conversation last week with Harden asking for a trade. Guy averages 30 points a game. But we were talking about what is really his value, because those 30 points, it's just something about his style that I don't think can produce a championship team.
Well, I think James Harden and everybody else do think this, is a fantastic scorer, one-on-one player, especially with the way the rules are set up now that you can't touch. Back when we was playing, You know, we could forearm, grab, we hold, do all kinds of stuff. But you can't even touch a guy now. And so that's what makes him so valuable with his ball handling skills and the way he can draw fouls. Now, can you win a championship with that? I don't know. You have to go back and look at the past champions. What was their style? Did they have one guy playing that style? I don't think so. I mean, so can another team win with him and win a championship? I don't know. It all depends on, I don't know.
Well, Rickey,
I
you
don't
were
think
there
so.
when, you know, we would, when we played the Chicago Bulls, when Michael Jordan was young, a rookie in his second year, we used to beat him all the time. You know, we used to beat him all the time. And then he got Pippen and a couple better players, but also he learned to trust those guys. And instead of having to dribble all the time and shoot all the time, he trusts those guys, and to the point where Paxson and Kerr won championships for him because he trusted them and passed them the ball.
And you know, it's either to guard a team when you have everyone else standing.
All the defense, looking at.
Yeah, you have one guy with the ball. I mean, it's easy to guard that team.
Hey, Rickey, I'm so glad you said that, man, because I go to like tournaments every week and games, high school games, and it kills me because I try to tell these younger guys, and you know, you have to be nice about it and stay cool and calm. But I tell them, do y'all realize when you got one guy that's just dominating the ball, that all 5 defensive players are zoomed in on you, everybody's looking at you? So if they're all looking at you, tell me how there's going to be no space for you to get through these double teams or whatever it may be. You got to keep the other guys involved. When I look at Houston, they have very good shooters, PJ Tucker, Daniel House. They've got guys that can put the ball in the basket, but you got to keep them in the game mentally. And that's what I think James doesn't understand. I don't know if has people in his ear telling him about, you know, winning scoring titles or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's about making your team better. I think he has it in him, Rickey Hampton. I'm answering your question. I think James has it in him. He just has to bring it out. And I was actually hoping he went to Brooklyn. This is just me personally, because then he would have to play without the ball. Kyrie would have to learn to play without the ball. KD has learned to do it. It worked with Golden State. And I'm thinking James in a situation like that, or Philly, I think he could be very, very productive if he would just go down, average maybe 25 points. I think if he did that, they become a team that could contend pretty much every year.
He could, but I don't think he would.
And you know, with the way they coached him at Houston, I mean, James, I don't believe is a selfish player. I don't believe that. I think the coach giving the guy the ball and saying, this is the offense. And I think he's probably doing more what the coach is telling him to do. Yeah. Is just get the ball and do your thing.
Yeah, that's what I agree with you, Ray. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, I agree with that. Harden, he gets 7 assists. I think he could do that on any team, but that style they're playing is not working right now. So you got to be smart. His career is not getting any shorter. Sometimes you got to sacrifice, and that's what we might be looking at for him. He's got to mature a little more and start learning to sacrifice.
And I think maybe that's.
Go ahead, Rick.
I think maybe that's why he's trying to get out of Houston to get with a team that he can do those things.
Yeah, we will find out, I bet. The problem is when you give any player, that much control over your organization, not only on the court, but off the court. So on the court, you can dribble as much as you want. You can shoot any shots you want. You can shoot 40-footers. You know, that's okay. And if you want to stay over in LA and not fly out to Portland tomorrow, we're going to stay because you want to. I don't care about the other players. I don't care if they have family or something they want to get home to. You got problems when he has that much control over the whole organization.
You can't win that way. We only got a few minutes left here on Gerv and Big Mo with former NBA players Derrick, Gervin, and Paul Mokeski. I'm Rickey Hampton, and we're joined by the great Ricky Pierce. Ricky, you were just a sterling career. I want to ask you about one of your teammates. I think, just like you, very underrated. Sidney Moncrief. I've heard Mo talk about him. I'd like to hear your thoughts about Sidney Moncrief.
Oh, Sidney was a great teammate. I mean, he never complained. He came out to work every single day at practice, games. He was a great leader, and he was a winner. I mean, I really enjoyed playing with Moncrief.
Yeah,
Another Southwest Conference guy, Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, Moncrief a beast, man. I mean, he go out and he do his thing. You know, he don't complain. He just come to work. Am I right, Mo?
Talk about a player that played the right way and he played defense. He passed the ball. He cut. He rebounded. He scored. He did everything. And like you said, Ricky, practice is practice. Okay. But man, I know you had to guard him at practice. He played hard in practice too.
Look, I learned a lot playing Moncrief practice every day.
But y'all, you just described two guys from that Bucks team. All those different things that they did. The total player. I can't leave out Paul Pressey. Mr. Tulsa, Paul Pressey reminded me pretty much the same way. Lockdown defender, go take his chance, get to the basket. Just a total player. Him and Moncrief, to me, they both very much underrated. Similar players, both lockdown defenders and total team players.
That's right. You're talking about two players that played the game the right way, unselfish, could do multiple things on the court. I mean, just great basketball players. I mean, they made everybody better, especially Paul Pressey. I love playing with him.
Big Mo, Paul Mokeski too.
hey, Paul. Pressey was a passer.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, you get open, he gonna find you.
Yeah,
and their egos were this big. They had no egos.
And you know what? I'm not surprised hearing that about that team through that era. You guys were fundamentally sound the way you played, tough defense, just an outstanding team with a bunch of outstanding players. We got a few more minutes. I want to get this in from Kevin Morris. Ricky alluded to it earlier. Trainers and coaches with no fundamental foundation and no real basketball experience training our young people, but not teaching the game. I mean, that is so true. And that's
my college teammate, Ricky. That's my college teammate there.
Yeah, my man Ralph Ritter, another great basketball player in his own right, checked in to say, Adrian Dantley and Carmelo Anthony usually got a shot off in 3 dribbles or less. And Derrick, John Washington's talking about Harden. We don't want him in Philly. I mean, but it's funny. You got a guy, that one of the top 5 players in the league. You kind of wonder, does he really help my team? Not really, in a lot of these instances.
Hey, Ricky, let me say this quickly. Paul, I'm sorry. Let me say this quickly because a lot of people with James Harden, they just want they worry about the extracurricular activities and stuff. Is he going to buy in? It's not that he's not a team player because Ricky said it earlier. He'll pass the ball, but is he going to be a distraction or is he going to show up every night to play?
Well, and I think most teams, I mean, they're going to put a piece in that they feel that they can rely on. And I don't know, I don't follow James off the court stuff and all of that. I mean, I just watch more of the basketball related stuff. And as a basketball player, if you need a guy that can really score in crunch time with one-on-one basketball, especially with the way you can't put your hands on anyone right now, he's the guy. Now, if you're looking for a guy that's going to stay in at night, I don't know if James that guy. James like to have fun, from my understanding.
There's also a problem. Reality in the NBA is money. Money is the reality in the NBA, and there is a salary cap. And if you trade for James Harden, now you have to get. He makes $40 million a year. So you have to balance that with $40 million of your people, whatever that is. So is it worth giving up half your team to get one very good offensive player? That's a tough question. And that's one that GMs in the NBA don't want to stick their neck out if they don't trust the person to be there when they need him.
Paul, the word lately has been that they're worried about, will he sign long term? And that's what I've been hearing for the last week, why a lot of teams are leery, because they don't want to commit to him and he doesn't commit to them. So what seems to be the hold right now is, if he comes, will he stay? And that seems to be a big issue right now.
They did it with LeBron. They did it with Kawhi. The problem, and Harden has 2 years left on his contract. So no matter what happens, you get him for 2 years. And if you have a team that can win a championship and win a 1 or 2 championships, then it's worth the risk. But the problem, like I said, is what do you have to give up to get him? You're gonna tear down your team to get him, and then you really don't have a shot at the championship anyway.
I'm not giving up Ricky Pierce and Paul Mokeski to get James Harden.
Maybe Paul Mokeski, but not Ricky Pierce.
Hey guys,
Don't do it.
I mean, Ricky, you got to come back, man. The hour's already gone. We got dozens of more questions. I hope you can come back and hang out with us another time. And everybody go to AccuShot22.com and check out Ricky's program. This guy played the right way. And I love, you talk about balance and patience, one of the keys to being a successful offensive player.
And follow through at the top of your shot is important to get that backspin. Mo had that perfect shot. If you go back and watch Paul Mokeski's shot, George Gervin's shot, at the release of that shot, they had that ball on their fingertip pads, which created that backspin. And that's what you need. To have a nice, soft shot.
Rotation on your shot, young people. Y'all hear that? Rotation.
Here's some, before you go to Ricky, and I want to just tell everybody out there that this is a sign of a very good player. And I've been around a long time. I'm old as hell. When you're scouting and trying to pick players on the draft or whatever, or for another team, you look at their history. And no matter what team Ricky played at no matter what level, JUCO, college, NBA, he always averaged 20 plus points a game and shot over 50%. So that says something about how Ricky played the game and shot the ball, is because that consistency carried over no matter what level he was at. You see a lot of players in college that are averaging 18, 20 points. They go to the NBA and they can't score 6, but I just wanted to say that, Ricky, it was great being your teammate, not only on the court, your reliable deuces, but off the court too, man. And you have to tell your wife, Joyce, that Linda and I say hi also. People don't understand that the best looking and most talented person in that relationship is his wife, Joyce.
You know what? I have to agree with you on that one.
Hey, Ricky,
She's beautiful. She's a nice lady. She's a wonderful mother and wife, and I've really enjoyed her, and I'm really blessed to have her.
People need to. She sang for the Fifth Dimension. Very talented lady.
Hey, Rick, before you go, I got to ask you this question. It's from my great friend, Mike Robinson, a huge Milwaukee Buck fan. And he said, how did you enjoy your time in Milwaukee? And does it feel weird that Lou Williams and these younger cats are credited with being the best 6-man when you and the microwave were doing it back in the day as good as anybody ever did?
Well, I'm just happy for those guys that they living out their dreams and they having a great time, and they should. And I'm just happy for those guys. I had a great time when I was doing it. So thumbs up, my hat go off to those guys.
Hey, Ricky, let me say before we get off, here's the best 6 men I've seen. You already mentioned 2 of them, Benny Johnson and Ricky Pierce. I can't leave out Bill Walton and Kevin McHale in his time. And Jamal Crawford, I got to give a shout out, man. I haven't forgotten about you. Those
That's
are
right.
6 men.
Yeah, and
Yes,
that's the
sir.
thing. That's the thing. And, you know, we're blessed to see all these great basketball players, and everybody wants to categorize them and everything. Hey, man, as a guy who loves the game, I enjoy watching them all do their thing.
Well,
And you know, Rick,
Ricky,
and
I'm
that's
sorry, go
why,
ahead.
and that's why, you know, I invented this, came out with this basketball, because a lot of young players, they would come up to me and ask me those questions about shooting the basketball. And the only thing I could tell them, you know, it's more components to shooting. You know, you have to have balance, your legs, you follow through. But what I was teaching them is, okay, put it on your fingertip pads, and that'll have that backspin rotation. And so, you know, they always asking me about that. But it's more to it than just the pads. You know, you got to have it up here in your head. You know, you got to have some fight in you, some determination, you know, to get to the big league, Mo. You know that. You know, you got to have some determination.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, we're going to call and tell everybody out there. I want to tell everybody out there about this holidays, man, because I know we got a lot going on with the COVID. And I know there's a lot of people that have been dealing with people that have been ill, family members and all of those. And I just want you to know, heart goes out to all of them, and my prayers for you and your families. I hope that all of you have a very safe Merry Christmas and a very, very Happy New Year. We will see you before the New Year's here, but I just want to tell everybody, stay safe out there. And I care about your families, and I hope you just stay safe out there and have a very safe holiday season.
And I want to end it with one last comment from Kayvon to Ricky. I thought this was great. What an exemplary and exceptional NBA player Ricky Pierce was, and he is still an exemplary and exceptional person to this very day. Doesn't get any better than that. Thank you, Kayvon, for that.
That's our guy from England. He's
and 14, Paul.
He's from England. That's the only guy.
14,700 points, Paul.
What's that?
You hear that, big fella? I say Ricky, 14,000 over 14,700 points as a starter and a sixth man. I want people to remember that.
And guys, go to AccuShot22.com. I got it in the comments. You can find it there. AccuShot22.com. God bless everybody. Merry Christmas too. Take care.
Peace.
All right.
Be nice to each other.
Ricky Pierce, thank you very much. Paul, I love you guys, man. Y'all have